Hi, welcome back. This is CY. If this is your first time visiting my YouTube channel, right? My channel is all about having fun making coffee, right? Having fun making coffee with different kind of coffee equipment, and today I'm going to talk about what I think about the Breville Barista Pro, right? After using it for about 18 months, right? So I will divide this so-called the usage review into of course two parts, the good and the not so good part about the Breville Barista Pro, right? So I will mainly talk about first of all the price point, and the second part I will talk about the usability, right? Then the third part I will talk about how durable this machine is, and last part I'll talk about is it easy to service the machine, right? And if I am given a choice with the budget that allows, right, will I be purchasing this machine again, right? So this will be mainly the things I'm covering today, right? So first of all, let me give you a bit of background story, how I get this machine, right? I bought this machine off the internet, right? I actually bought it from Australia, right? So I imported it to Singapore. So at the time, the import cost for the machine is around close to 900 to 1,000 Singapore dollar, right? So I bought this less than $1,000 Singapore dollar 18 months back, right? Which is during the which is before the COVID-19 started. I remember it's 2019 September when I started using this machine, right? I was very excited because this is my first actual proper espresso machine, right? Before this, I was actually using a Chinese espresso machine, right? Which is the brand name under Dong Lim, right? That machine is actually a 51 portafilter, right, with dual wall baskets, which means the pressurized baskets, and I thought I was getting good coffee from it, right, until I've seen this machine in the shopping center, not this particular model, but the Breville Oracle and Oracle Touch, and I begin to wonder, right, should I get a espresso machine for myself? And luckily I did, and this actually get me into the world of espresso and coffee. So basically this machine I bought it for less than $1,000. Right now, this machine retails in Singapore about $1,600, and maybe I'll also touch on a little bit of why there's such a big difference in price, right? Okay, so first part, let's talk about the price, right? So the local authorized dealer sells this machine at $1,599, right? Do I think it's worth buying at this price versus if you do a parallel import, it will probably cost you around $1,200 to $1,300, right? Why is there a difference in the price that I bought in 2019 September, and now it's because mainly due to the situation of shipping, right? I think COVID-19 has really caused a lot of disruption in a lot of airline cargo services, and hence these parcel services actually increases their charges, right? So especially for such a heavy cargo, right? This machine weighs about 20 kg, including the packaging. So I used to import this at around $800, and the shipping cost around $130 at the time, and now the machine has gone up to 1,000 plus, even if I try to import it from Australia, and the shipping cost itself costs around $200 to $300. So it will add up to around $1,500, right? $1,400, $1,500 if you do the import yourself. And is it worth importing at this point of time, right? I don't think it's worth importing, right? Because if you're going to use this machine for yourself, I think it's good to buy from the local authorized dealer, right? Especially for this particular model, right? Because there's a lot of electronics in the Breville Barista Pro, right? This particular model uses LCD, right? Where the Express doesn't use an LCD panel. right? Second thing is the thermocoil, right? Thermojet, right? I'll talk more about the thermojet later. So these parts are actually parts that may break down more easily than the traditional thermal blocked machine, right? So I'll move on to that in a while, right? So do you think do I think that I should parallel import the machine? No, I don't think so, because I think you will need the warranty from the local dealer. The local dealer provide a 12 months warranty, whereby if there's anything wrong with the machine, you can also always bring the machine back for repair, or if it is beyond repair, they actually change a new one for you, right? I have a friend, Matt, right? Probably you have seen him, right? He's my friend. Actually, I met over YouTube, right? He's actually reached out to me saying that his Barista Pro has some issues on extraction, and that's when I get to know him better and eventually become very good friends, right? So his machine recently got serviced, right? He was complaining that the machine actually electrocute him whenever he tried to pull a shot out of it. I think at first he sent the machine back because it was still under warranty. So I think the local dealer did some repair, and when he got the machine back, the machine somehow has some leakage of current, and he got electrocuted a few times when he tried to make coffee from this machine, because you know this machine is actually stainless steel cladding, right? Inside is basically plastic, right? So he got electric shock. He got electric shock, even though the shock is very little, right? But it's actually a very dangerous thing to have electric current running through the external part of the body. So he actually went back to the dealer, and actually the dealer replaced the machine, a brand new machine for him. And while he's waiting for his machine to get repaired, the local dealer actually loaned him a higher spec machine. I think it's the Oracle, if I'm not wrong, right, for him to use, you know, to time over the waiting period. So I think this is the thing that is good if you have a machine that's under warranty, right? So my suggestion is always get a machine that comes with 12 months or more warranty, right? At least you feel safer. And of course, this machine is not cheap, right? It costs thousands of dollars. So my advice is yes, get a machine from your local dealer if possible, right? And if you do try to import yourself, make sure the price is very, very low, right? The issue is that the Breville parts in Singapore is quite hard to get, right? And it will take ages for, let's say you try to get from Breville website to get the parts from there directly, right? Yeah, and I think they are constantly out of stock for most of the parts that you require, right? So that's the price point, right? I believe at 1,006, if it's pretty high for espresso machine of this spec, right? I'll talk more about later whether I think it's worth buying this if I were given the chance to start over, and will I actually buy this again, right? So second thing I want to talk about is actually the coffee that it makes, right? It makes great coffee, right? But the problem with this machine is the consistency, right? When I try to pull the first shot, right, with all the back flushing, trying to warm up the machines, right? Sorry, not the back flushing, the blind shots, try to warm up the machine, because it's a thermal jet machine. So unless you pull blind shots, otherwise the system will never get hot. So before you make any espresso shots, it's always good to flush the machine with hot water, right, through the portafilter from the group head, so that the machine is warm up, right? And somehow the first shot is always not as good as the second shot. I think that's probably the same for other machines. But even after the second shot, the third shot, sometimes I do not get the consistency of the shot. Maybe it's my machine, and most of the espresso shot I get is towards the sour side, and the temperature I get from the coffee that I make from the Barista Pro is usually not very hot, right? I would say that it's around, because the moment I make the shots, I can drink it, which means the temperature is probably around 60 plus 70 degrees Celsius. So I do not know why the temperature of the shot is always pretty low, right, as compared to the other machines I own, right? This is something that maybe if you know, right, you can actually link in, you can actually comment down in the section below. Let me know if you know actually why the machine actually doesn't produce a very hot espresso, right? Yeah, so that is the thing. But besides that, it can make good coffee, right? It can actually create a very honey-like flow of espresso extraction. That we have no issue with that. Another thing is that built-in grinder, right? The built-in grinder is not very consistent, right? And I wonder why the manufacturer allows such a big gap inside the internal burr, right? They could have designed a piece of silicone, right, to seal off the gap so that when you grind the beans will not stuck in between the side of the internal burr, right? If you have opened up your machine, you'll know that when you try to do maintenance, there's a lot of beans that's stuck inside the groove, in between the inner burr and the what do you call that? The conical burr and the burr outside, right? There's always a bean stuck in between the external burr and the gap, right? There's a gap there. If you know what I mean. Maybe later I'll show you in the picture, right? So basically, I have a 3D printer, and I'm pretty good at 3D printing and design. So I use this elastic filament and design a seal, right, to seal off the gaps, right, so that now my machine doesn't have any gaps. So whenever I do maintenance, it's so much easier, right? There's no more beans that's remaining behind, and I don't have to worry that my coffee that I get is from the coffee beans that I placed inside for don't know how long ago, right? So it gives me a more I can say that it actually gives me a better fresher coffee ground. At least I know the coffee ground I'm getting is actually from the coffee that I put in, and not from coffee that's maybe used yesterday, right? So, and I think this grinder, of course, is a lot better than the Barista Express. Not because the grinder is different, right? The grinder is all the same, right? But it just have more setting. You are able to grind with more adjustment, right? But having say so, right? It is actually quite troublesome every time you want to dial in the beans, and you realize that maybe at a particular default setting, you already run out of option by reducing all your cost adjustment to the smallest, and you have to open up your burr, internal burr inside, and pull out the conical burr, and you have to do the manual adjustment there. Then you have to fix back, and this process is actually very troublesome. I do not know whether they have actually a better way to do to design this internal burr. Why is this grinder so inconsistent with the same model with my machine and my friend's machine? So I find it very puzzling, and every time I try to help my friend to dial in their beans, right, I cannot tell him that with this setting, right, you can get the consistency of the grind that we are looking for, right? But I have no problem with my millwright grinder, right? I can tell my friend that owns the same hand grinder and using the same beans, right? I can tell him that just go to 18 clicks and we can produce very similar kind of grind size, right? So I'm not too sure why a $200, $220 a manual hand grinder can do that, and the built-in grinder can't, right? So this is something that's very puzzling, right? So I think the built-in grinder is definitely something that Breville can look into it and improve. I know they recently acquired a grinder company, the Barista, right? So I hope they can actually improve their built-in grinder, right? So the next thing I want to move to talk about is actually the durability of the machine, right? For those of you that have been following my channel, you know that my machine has some issues after I use it for about 6 to 7 months, right? The machine actually beeps I think it beeps 3 to 5 times after 5 seconds, right? After I try to pull a shot, right? So it will never allow me to go beyond 5 seconds of extraction, or if I try to get hot water from the machine, it will also beep after 5 seconds, and the whole machine will just stop, and you'll stop producing hot water. Whether it's steam, hot water, or trying to make espresso, it will just stop at 5 seconds, right? So I cannot proceed anywhere from there, and I cannot do the scale cycle, I cannot do back flushing. Anything that involves heating of the thermojet, right, it just doesn't allow me to do that, right? So I'm very concerned with the thermojet, and I think And somehow, when I try to send the machine after 6 to 7 months to the local dealer, as you know, my machine doesn't come with warranty, so I have to pay for diagnostic fees, right? And after paying the diagnostic fees, the feedback I get from the machine, there's nothing wrong with my machine. So okay, I bring the machine back home, I test it, it works for a few times, then eventually the problem comes maybe a day or two, right? Same problem comes back again. So it's very frustrating. And I simply do not know why the repair team or the service team cannot find a solution to the problem. I think one of my viewer from my channel actually feedback to me saying that there's a flow control device that actually control the amount of water that flow through the thermojet. Most likely that's the one that is giving issues, right? But somehow after I sent my machine to a friend of mine, Abby, for a check, right? He told me that you just do a proper warming up and your machines will be run properly. And true enough, after I follow his instructions of doing the proper procedure for warming up the machine, right? The machine has zero problem ever since, right? So if you want to know about the proper warming up, right, you can actually check on my video listing, right? Maybe I'll do another one later on to show you how do I do the proper warming up of the machine, right? So that's another concern that I have, and that's therefore, right? Always get a machine that comes with warranty, right? Because at least when you know that when your machine has problem, right, you know that you are being covered, and you can actually send the machine back for repair. You don't have to pay extra money, right, for the diagnostic or whatever, right? So and last part that I want to talk about is oh yeah, another thing I want to talk about is the LCD panel, right? This LCD panel is actually very, very useful, right? It actually gives me all the information I need, right? I can actually adjust the brewing temperature, right? I can actually control if the machine needs to be descaled or back flushed, right? The machine will flash and it will inform me that I have to do the back flush or the descale, and all the control of the back flush or descale cycle can be controlled by using the manual button. So this is something that I love about this machine, right? Yeah, besides that the brewing grinder is inconsistent, right? The parts, the thermojet is actually not very durable, right? I have concerns over the durability of the thermojet, right? And the concerns over the brewing temperature, right? So these are the concerns I have, right? So the last part, if I'm given a choice again, will I be buying this machine? So my answer to that is no, I will not buy this machine, right? Because I think, right, maybe if you are a beginner, right, if you want an all-in-one machine, this is something that's good for you. But I think at 1,006, I think you can probably get a very good espresso machine with a separate grinder, right? Or may not be made in Brazil, Australia, right? May be made in China, but the Chinese machines are, in terms of quality-wise, right, is catching on par with the rest of the world, right? I myself, actually, we have imported quite a few espresso machines that's made in China, and they are very, very durable, right? And they are very competitive in terms of price point and the specs, right? So I'll do more about that later on. So given 1,006, I will not buy this machine, right? I will probably buy a machine with a separate grinder. And if I couldn't afford a grinder at the moment, right, I will still choose to buy a machine without the built-in grinder, and I'll save some money to get maybe a Eureka Mignon Specialita, or maybe a Niche, or maybe a Seah 270, right? So as a separate grinder. Or if let's say the budget is really tight, just get the Millwright, right? It will beat all the grinder here on my table, right? There's no fight, right? This is so much more consistent as compared to the other grinder. Can this do espresso? Definitely. Excellent on espresso, right? It's really very, very good, very versatile. Can you do pour over? Excellent on pour over as well, right? So so that's my final conclusion, right? If that's for my personal view, right? If I'm given a choice again, will I buy this machine? My answer to that is no. I'll probably buy, I'll probably spend maybe $200-300 more if my budget allow to get a heat exchanger. Right? And before you go, right, let's make some coffee, right? Let me show you how the proper warming up is done on this machine. Right, so basically very simple. Switch on the machine, right? Lock up your portafilter, right? I usually like to place my cup below, right? Press and hold the single shot button, until the manual comes out and you can let it go. Let the water flows about 10 seconds. Right, press again to stop. So this is what we call the proper warming up, right? Proper warming up for the Breville Barista Pro doesn't mean leaving on the machine, right? If you leave the machine on for 1 day, even if it doesn't switch off, the machine will never get warm up, right? So this is definitely not the way to warm up the machine. To warm up the machine, you really have to run water through it. And I think 10 seconds on the manual setting is good enough, right? So now at least I know my portafilter is warm up, my group head is warm up. So I will not be using the brewing grinder because it's really quite bad, right? Yeah, again, this is my own personal take, right? Your grinder may actually perform good enough for you, right? But because I've been exploring other grinder and other machines, so this is actually the conclusion I have, right? At 1006, I think they can do better, right? Okay, so let me get some of the coffee beans, right? For today, I'm going to use the bean I've roasted, right? I think I'll be using the Yunnan coffee beans, right? The coffee bean is actually aged in a red wine barrel, so it gives a very pleasant red wine smell. Okay, let me see where the bean is. Okay, this is the red wine one. Okay, so I'll be using 18 grams as usual, right? Right, so I will show you how easy it is to grind on the millwright. So remove the cover, right? I'll just pour 18 grams directly inside. Right, that's 17.7, right? 17.9, right? That's 18 grams. Right, so now I have to adjust the grind size at the bottom. Right, so I'm using actually about 19 clicks. So I'll reset everything to 0 first, because this morning I did a pour over on the millwright hand grinder. Right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay, let's do 19, right? Right, so right, you can see it's really very enjoyable to grind, right? You don't have to use a lot of strength, right? And the sound from the crushing or the slicing of the bean is really very pleasant. Right, even if my hands are not very big, but when I grip onto the body of the grinder, right, I can hold it firmly, right, and I don't really have to use a lot of strength, right? And if you want to grind fast, you can, right? If you grind faster, of course, you get tired more easily, right? But if you're not in a rush, you can do it slowly, right? Enjoy, you can enjoy the scenery outside, or maybe just maybe watch a TV program or something like that, right? And in no time, right, the grind will be completed. By the way, the Yunnan beans I've roasted is slightly darker than medium, right? And I'm actually I actually do the roasting meant for espresso, right? So you'll give more body to the coffee, and also you will not lose too much of the sweetness from the coffee as well. Right, so you can see it's almost done. Okay, it's done. Right, so one of the convenient way of it will good to have a dosing funnel, right? Something like this, right? I know I've designed quite a lot in the past, but since I'm using this machine less and less, right, I'm actually I don't usually actually use my the funnel that I designed, right? If you can remember, this is the one that I've designed, right, with cover and a cover on top and bottom, right? So I'm just using this now, right? Okay, problem with this is for 58, right? So sorry, my bad. I still have to use this, right? So I'll just open this from top and bottom, right? I'll just lock up my portafilter, right? And I'll just dose my coffee inside, right? And give you a nice tap. Right, okay, it's done. Okay, let's tamp it down. I'll be using a distributor, right? Right, and I use the built-in tamper, right? Give you a firm tamp, right? And let's try to pull a shot. Okay, let me try to zoom in on the shot quality for you. Okay, let me bring down my camera stand a little bit so you can see better. Okay, so I'll hold for about 7 seconds for the custom pre-infusion. Okay, I think the grind size may be a bit too fine, right? For the portafilter, right? So I'll probably need to increase the grind size a little bit. Yep, okay, it's too fine. So let me repeat that again, right? So if you're using a hand grinder, right, that probably means that you have to do a bit more work, right? Okay, see it is stuck there, right? Okay, so let's flush. Okay, sorry for the mess. Okay, let me clean up. Alright, okay, so let me do another 18 grams, but this time I'll increase the grind from 19 to 20. Alright, just one click more. Okay, let's zoom out. Right, 18 grams again. So please bear with me, right? I'll grind this. You know what? I have 2 boys, and whenever I grind this, my boys will be fighting to help me grind it. So you have children at home, maybe it's time for them to ask them to do some work for you. So it's a perfect time if you are tired of grinding this, just ask them to help, right? Almost done. Okay, so it's done. All right, so same thing. Let's lock up my portafilter with my dosing funnel. Right. 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 Okay, let's put another shot. Right, the flow is still a little bit slow, right? Which means I can actually I can actually increase the grind size a little bit more, right? But I think I'll just let it flow, right? It's already 47 seconds. I'm only extracting about 24 grams of coffee. 50 seconds. A minute. Right, so I'm getting about 38 grams, 39 grams of coffee. Right, but never mind. All right, let me show you the crema. Right, beautiful crema. Okay, let me show you. Right, smells great. I can smell the red wine from here. Alright, okay, so now it's time for me to froth some milk. Alright, always remember to purge. So you can see it gets really fast. Yeah, it takes quite long for the milk to get ready to temperature. Right, wipe and purge. Right, okay, so let's try to do some latte art. Okay, the milk texturing is not well done. Right, so please pardon me. Right, okay. Okay, so I hope you find this information useful to you, right? And thank you for watching, right? This is CY, right? My channel is all about having fun making coffee, and this is just my feedback or my rant, or having used this machine for about 18 months, right? So do remember to subscribe and like my videos, and ring the bell, right? If you want to stay updated in my content delivery, right? So I'll see you again very soon, right? Thank you for watching.